don't want this one. I want that one. I screamed and pointed to the red dress that the other girl in the store tried on and was twirling in front of the mirror. I watched as Mom pulled out money from her purse and begged the woman to give her the dress. The girl's mother took the money and the girl burst into tears. Mom collected the dress from the girl and I smiled as we walked towards the cashier. Hi, my name is Chloe. If you have not liked this video or subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do that now. Smash that notification bell so that you will get notified when more of our amazing stories are posted. My life has always been easy, and I always got what I wanted. I went to the best schools, wore the best clothes, and had the cutest boyfriends. What more could a girl ask for? I realized that I could get anything from my parents if I made a big enough fuss about it, even if it made other people uncomfortable. Every birthday party I had since I was 5 was bigger and better than the last one. From hot air balloon rides to renting out entire amusement parks for me and my friends. I never asked where my parents worked or where they got the money because frankly, I really didn't care as long as I got what I wanted. I was going to be 16 in a couple of weeks, and I wanted this birthday party to be the best that I ever had. This year, I told my parents that I wanted Bangtan Boy Scouts to sing at my party. They were the hottest and cutest boy band around. I couldn't wait to see the looks of envy that my friends would have when they walked up on stage. One night, while watching Bangtan Boy Scouts music videos, I fell asleep on the sofa. I woke up to the sound of Dad speaking to someone on the phone. I was about to get up when I heard him tell the person on the other end he
did everything I was asked to, and it's time to get my son back.
Shortly after that, Dad hung up the phone and walked out of the room. I sat up slowly and wondered what son he was talking about. The next afternoon, I told Dad that I overheard his conversation and I demanded to know what son he was talking about and if I really had a brother. Dad looked at me and walked out of the room. I was shocked. Dad had never done this before. Highly annoyed, I walked around the house asking the servants if they knew anything about my parents having a son before or after I was born. The cook was the only servant who looked nervous. "Martha, tell me what you know." I pointed my finger in her face and snarled.
I don't know anything, ma'am.
"You don't know anything." I walked over to the kitchen cupboards and began to remove the dishes and smash them on the kitchen wall. "Do you know anything now?"
What is going on here?
Mom looked around the kitchen, then at me, and at Martha, who was on the verge of tears.
Martha, it's okay. I am truly sorry about this.
Mom rubbed her shoulders.
How about we get you out of here for the day, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Martha nodded and walked out of the kitchen. "Mom, what are you and Dad hiding? Do I have a brother? Tell me the truth. I heard Dad talking on the phone, asking about his son."
You must have heard wrong. You don't have a brother.
Mom walked to the cupboard and grabbed the scoop and broom.
And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a mess to clean.
I stormed out of the kitchen. I wasn't about to share anything I had with anybody. Why should I? I am accustomed to this lifestyle, and why should it change? I knew my parents were hiding something from me, and I needed to get to the bottom of it. I grabbed one of the maids who recently started working at the house. "You're coming with me." I dragged her to the attic. I figured that the attic was the only place my parents would hide something from me because I never went there. I never had a reason to till now. "You're going to look through every box until you find me something to do with this mysterious son that my parents have." Before the maid began searching, I made her bring up one of my chairs from my room and a few magazines so that I could read. Luckily, the attic had AC. After about an hour, the maid walked up to me with a small wooden box in her hand. I snatched the box and tried to open it, but it had a small lock on it. "Go and find something to open this with before I get you fired." The maid ran downstairs and returned with a hammer. I gave her the box and I watched as she smashed the lock and the lid of the wooden box snapped open. Inside were pictures. The maid handed me the pictures, and there he was, the mysterious son. I recognized my parents, and with them was a little boy around the age of 3 in every picture. The name on the back of the picture was Cooper. Looking through the pictures, it just dawned on me that I don't have any pictures with my parents. My parents never hugged me or smiled at me the way they were doing with him. I marched downstairs to confront my parents once and for all, and this time I had proof. They couldn't deny anything. I found them sitting in the living room watching television. I threw the pictures at them. "Who is this? Who is this boy in this picture with you?" A flash of panic ran across Mom's face, but Dad's eyes were still glued to the television. I threw the wooden box at the television and cracked the screen. I demand an explanation. Just as Mom was about to open her mouth to talk, Dad spoke up.
Everything will be revealed at your 16th birthday party.
No matter how I screamed or whined or tantrumed, my parents refused to tell me what I wanted to know, and eventually left me in the room alone. On the morning of my 16th birthday, Mom told me the great news that Bangtan Boy Scouts were going to be at my party. I messaged all my friends and told them. They were oozing with envy, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I got at least 50 gifts, and then the rest of the day, I went to the hairdresser, spa, and nail tech to prepare for my big night. Everything had to be perfect. By the time I got to the party, it was in full swing. I invited everyone from school. The DJ was playing the best songs. I had an amazing 3-tier birthday cake and the cutest mini blue dress anyone ever saw. During my party while I was making the rounds with my friends, Mom sent a message saying that Bangtan Boy Scouts had arrived and she wanted me to meet them personally. I squealed with excitement as I showed the message to my friends. I told them that I would be back in a few minutes. I walked to the front of the building, but when I got there, no one was around. Suddenly, screeching tires were heard, and before I knew it, I was being pushed into a car. I sat in the back seat with 2 men on either side. "Where are you taking me?" I yelled as the car sped off. The 3 men in the car remained silent and didn't pay any attention to me. I sat in the back seat and sulked, with my arms folded across my chest. About 30 minutes later, we were driving through gates that led to a mansion. I was pulled out of the car and held by my upper arms and led to a room where I was instructed to sit and wait. I heard the door lock behind the man, so I knew I had no choice but to do as he said. I must have fallen asleep, because when my eyes opened again, they were staring into the kind eyes of an older woman. I sat up slowly, and the woman sat next to me and hugged me. What kind of kidnappers hugged their prisoners? I was confused. I pushed the lady away and stood up. "Who are you, and why am I here? Where are my parents?" My voice, loud and aggressive.
Who do you think you're talking to?
A man entered the room. He was well-dressed in a pinstripe 3-piece suit, and a cigar hung from his lips. I recognized him as Albert El Diablo Maceria. He was the leader of the biggest gang in their city. Police could never pin anything on him, or were too afraid to do it. "Where are my parents?"
We are right in front of you. Now sit. We have a lot to talk about.
I reluctantly sat next to the woman.
When we were younger, things got pretty hot on this side. As a man, it's my responsibility to take care of my family and keep them safe. We are a family business, and business can't go on if my firstborn isn't around. I hope for a son, but you would have to do.
He poured himself a drink.
I had a bookie who owed me money. I told him if we swapped kids and he kept mine safe until she reached age 16, I would square off his gambling debts. So the deal was made. If anyone came after me by trying to hurt the boy, no harm, no foul, because he ain't my kid.
My mind flashed back to Dad's conversation that I overheard. This man had his son. "What are you talking about? I think you got the wrong person." I got up and walked towards the door. I needed to get out of here. I opened the door and standing in front of me were 2 men.
Did you think it was that easy to leave? Where did you think your other parents got all that money to take care of you? That's right, your real parents have been providing for you from day one. I finally have my daughter back, the heir to my kingdom. You are in my world now, and it's time to learn the rules on my turf.
What makes you think I want to stay? You abandoned me for 16 years, and you think I would just run to you with open arms and welcome you into my life?
Tough decisions had to be made, Princess. But since you want to play hardball, we can play that too. One day you'll realize that I did what I did to protect you and for your own good. You will learn to love it here.
The man opened the door and told the man outside to take me to my room. I kicked and screamed and begged to return to my parents. I was thrown into a bedroom and locked in. I pounded the door until my hands were sore before curling up into a ball and crying. The next few days I spent in the room. The room was equipped with everything that I needed, and the door was only open so that I could get meals. I decided that my only alternative was to agree to this lifestyle that my real father wanted me to live. I asked to speak with him, and we agreed. He said that he was happy that I finally came around. I don't think that he truly trusted me, because even though I was allowed to leave my room and walk the grounds, I had 2 bodyguards with me all the time. One time, while heading to my father's office, I spotted a boy about my age coming out. He didn't say anything, but walked past quickly. Was that Cooper?
Yes, it was.
I thought he left already.
No, Cooper had one last job to complete for me tonight. Then he's free to go. Let's not talk shop now. I have a surprise for you.
He opened his drawer and handed me a Bangtan Boy Scouts concert ticket. I was more excited that I was finally able to leave the mansion than actually going to the concert. I told my father thank you. He said to be ready by 6, so the bodyguards can take me to and from the concert before he waved me out of the office because his phone rang. If Cooper was leaving, maybe Cooper might be my only hope. I slipped Cooper a tiny folded piece of paper and hoped that he would go along with it. At the concert, the crowd to enter was huge. I told Cooper exactly where I would be. I told him to create a distraction, and maybe under the cover of the crowd, I would be able to escape. I nervously stood waiting for anything to happen, then it did. I heard 3 loud explosions, quickly followed by the screaming of the crowd, who were now scampering for cover. I was almost trampled when a hand caught me. I looked up, and it was Cooper. He held my hand tightly, and we maneuvered through the crowd. He opened the back seat of the car and told me to get in and stay low. He closed the door, then quickly jumped into the driver's seat and took off. My heart was pounding so loud, I felt as though it would break one of my ribs. When the noise died down and the space seemed clear, Cooper told me it was safe to sit up. I thanked him for everything he did for me. He said that he spent 13 years in that household, and he didn't want anyone else to witness the things that he did. We drove to a pier, and we ditched the car. He carried us to a yacht where his parents were waiting.
What is she doing here?
Mom asked.
Listen, I don't have time to explain. Let's go!
Mom and Dad had their own private island. They had been planning their escape since Cooper was taken. They allowed me to stay with them because I didn't have anywhere else to go, but not as a daughter. I was staying as a servant. Mom and Dad made my life a living hell. Maybe I deserved it, but that didn't mean I was going to accept it. In my real father's world, I was heir, which meant I had power. I needed to get word to my father that Cooper kidnapped me and made me his slave, then watch the tables turn in my favor once more.
I looked up from the TV show I was watching to see my sister Kate standing in front of me. She looked white as a sheet and was shaking. What's wrong?
It's Grandma. She's passed away.
Good riddance. My family all looked at me in shock at my reaction. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, or you might end up a monster just like me.
Nick, what a terrible thing to say. How could you say such a thing?
Grandma was a grumpy old woman who was never nice to anybody. I'm not going to pretend to be sad that she's gone.
Nick, go up to your room right now.
I just ignored what my dad said to me and walked right out of the house. I didn't care if they didn't like what I had said. It was the truth. Grandma had been a horrible person for most of my life. I was glad she was gone. You see, I'm not the same as my other family members. My mom, dad, and sisters are holier than thou. They are literally a family of angels, whereas I'm more of a monster. My family spend all of their time volunteering to help others, raising money for charity, and basically doing whatever they can to help other people. I've always been the black sheep. I was the one that got caught skipping school. I was the one that broke my sister's dolls. When I was younger, I was always in trouble for one thing or another, while my sisters were model children. They never did a thing wrong. As I walked along the street thinking about my past and how different I was to the rest of my family, I suddenly noticed a disturbance on the other side of the street. I could see 2 thieves breaking into the grocery store. Oh well, it's not my business what they get up to. I shrugged my shoulders and carried on walking down the street, or they're going to get caught. Suddenly, I felt someone bump into me from behind. They almost knocked me to the ground, but I managed to stop myself from falling. Hey, watch where you're going.
Listen to me now. Do as we say, or you'll be in serious trouble. You have to help hide us from the police.
I realized it was the two thieves I had seen breaking into the store. What do you expect me to do?
You have to help us hide, or we will hurt you badly.
I gave a sigh. Okay, I guess I don't really have much choice, do I?
That's right. Finally, you're getting it.
I told the two thieves to follow me. I took them back to my house and told them to wait in the garden while I checked the coast was clear. I went inside to see where my family was. They were all in the lounge watching a TV show, so I told the thieves to come inside. Follow me, but keep quiet, okay? I don't want to risk my family seeing you. I began to climb the stairs and they followed me, but suddenly one of the stairs gave a loud creak. I stopped for a second and held my breath.
Nick, is that you?
Yes, Mom, I'm going to go straight to bed. I'm tired.
Okay then, but I want to talk to you in the morning.
Yes, sure, Mom. I took the two of them into my room and told them to hide in my wardrobe. You'll have to stay in here until my family have gone to bed. Then you can sleep on the floor. I'll get you some blankets. The two of them stayed in my room for the next few days. I managed to keep them hidden from my family, although my sister nearly caught me out when she came into my room without knocking. Get out, Kate! How many times have I told you to knock before you come into my room? I shoved Kate out of my room and locked the door.
I was only coming to tell you it's time for dinner.
Okay, I'll be down in a bit. Phew, that was close. We need to be careful. If my family finds out you're here, they will definitely tell the police.
Well, we don't want that, do we?
As I spent more and more time with the two of them, I started to really like them. I was a lot like them in many ways. We had so much in common.
You know, Nick, you should get into our line of work. It's really easy, and you can make lots of money.
The more I thought about what they had said, the more it appealed to me. I didn't want to work 8 hours a day for a pittance of a wage. I wanted the easy life. And anyway, I'd always been a monster, so why not embrace it? We waited for the police to stop searching for the two of them, and then we started doing jobs here and there. They taught me everything that I needed to know.
You should start small until you get the hang of things. We don't want you getting caught right off the bat now, do we?
What should I do first?
Try to steal some clothes from the big store in town. You have to be careful of the security cameras, so make sure you know where they all are.
The next day, I went to the store. It didn't take me long to work out exactly where all the cameras were. Once I knew that, it was easy for me to find a spot in the store that wasn't being watched. I picked out a pair of jeans and a sweater. When I got to the area where the cameras couldn't see anything, I shoved them into my rucksack and walked out of the store. I couldn't believe I'd got away with it. I really expected an alarm to go off or for a security guard to come running after me, but nothing. It gave me a real buzz and I was keen to do something bigger. Come on, you have to let me join you on your next big job.
Well, if you really think you're ready for it.
I do.
Okay then, kid, you're in.
After that, they included me in all of their jobs. Each time, it gave me such a thrill. I knew that being a thief was the life for me. But then one day, they asked me to meet them at the park. It was where we always met to discuss an upcoming job, so I wasn't surprised.
We have another job planned.
Okay, great. What is it?
We're going to steal from your family.
My mouth fell open in surprise. My family? But why?
We've seen your house. They have some really nice stuff which we can sell for a lot of money.
I was a bit hesitant, to be honest. Sure, I felt like an outsider in my own family, but it didn't mean I didn't care about them. I'm not sure. I mean, surely there's another house we can steal from.
Nope, we've made up our minds. We're doing it, with or without you. So, are you in?
Okay, sure. Count me in. We began to plan the robbery. My family will be out of the house on Saturday night at a fundraising event. That's the best time to do it.
Okay, so Saturday night we'll come over at about 7 p.m. Make sure you don't have too many lights on, or we might be seen by the neighbors.
On Saturday night, as I waved goodbye to my parents and sisters, I looked around nervously. I wondered if they were out there in the darkness, watching and waiting. At 7 p.m. on the dot, I heard the sound of glass breaking in the kitchen. I jumped up and went to see what it was. What are you doing? Why did you smash the window?
Well, you want it to look like a real robbery, don't you? Or do you want your family to think you just let the robbers walk into your house?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, I wasn't thinking. The two of them started filling their rucksacks with anything of value. I watched as they put in my mom's favorite watch and my sister's laptops and other valuables.
Right, I think we've got everything. Come on, let's get out of here.
But as they went to leave the house, I stayed behind.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry, guys, but when you mess with my family, that's where I draw the line.
Okay, up to you, but we're getting out of here.
The two of them ran off with their haul of goods. I picked up the phone and called the police. I'd like to report a robbery.
What's the address? We'll send someone around straight away.
A few minutes later, the police turned up at my house. I was in the middle of telling them what had happened when Mom, Dad, and sisters came walking through the door.
Nick, are you all right? What's happened?
I told my family all about the robbery. I could see the look of disappointment cross their faces when I told them about my involvement. I've given the police their names, though. They're sending someone to arrest them now. Within about half an hour, the police had found the two of them and arrested them.
We'll need you to come down to the station just to identify them for us.
Sure, of course, I'll do anything to help. When the police walked them out in front of me, I just nodded. I tried not to look the two of them in the eye, but as the police led them out, I heard one of them whisper,
You've made a big mistake here, Nick. You're going to regret this.
But I didn't regret what I did. I was happy that I told the police everything. I apologized to my family, and being the good people that they are, they immediately forgave me. I'm so sorry for what I did. I want you to know that I've learned my lesson. I will never get involved in anything like this again.
We trust you, Nick. You're a good boy. We know you won't get into the wrong crowd again.
After my brush with the criminal life, I started to try to act more like my family. I realized that it felt much nicer being kind than being mean and not caring about other people's feelings. When I did something nice for someone, I got a warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart. It felt good to be kind, and I felt sure that if I was kind to people, then people would be kind to me. I wasn't scared about the threat the two thieves had whispered. They were safely locked away in prison now. They couldn't hurt me. But unfortunately, I was wrong. One day I was at home with my family watching the news when the reporter suddenly turned to some breaking news that had just come in.
2 prisoners have escaped from prison today. They are believed to be dangerous, and the public should not approach them.
When the faces of the 2 prisoners showed up on the screen, I let out a small gasp. Oh no, that's the 2 thieves. What if they try to hurt me? My parents looked at each other, a worried look on their faces. But before we had a chance to say anything else, the door opened and someone burst in. It was the 2 thieves, but that wasn't the biggest shock. Behind the thieves was my grandma. Grandma?
Mom, I thought you were dead.
All of us just stood there in shock, staring at my grandma.
I didn't die. I faked my own death.
But why? Why would you do that?
Because I wanted to be more involved with my gang of thieves. These 2 are my underlings. I sent them to recruit Nick.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My grandma was the leader of a gang of thieves?
I thought you were like me, Nick. I thought you were a monster too. Turns out you're nothing but a weak, silly angel, just like the rest of your family.
So what are we going to do now, Grandma?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Nick. I'm going to make you my protege.
What?
That's right. You're going to come and work with me, and if you don't agree, then I'm going to destroy your family.
Are you telling me you would hurt your own child?
Your dad isn't my child. I adopted him. He's not blood in actual fact. Whilst we're revealing all the family secrets, I might as well tell you everything. I'm not your grandma. I'm actually your mom.
I stood staring at her in shock. Is this why I feel so different from the rest of my family? Is it true that my grandma is actually my mom?
I was very old when I gave birth to you, so I decided to give you to my adopted son and his family to raise you as their own. I thought it would be the best thing for you, but now I can see that you are nothing like them. You'll be better off with me. So I will ask you once again, will you join me in my gang? Will you become a thief just like me?
So now I'm torn. If I don't agree to what she wants, my family might get hurt. But if I go with her, I'll be going against everything I've recently learned about being kind and good to people. What should I do? Please, help me make my decision. Leave your comments down below.
Why do you have to be so mean, Amanda? You may be popular, you may have the perfect body and a beautiful face, but you have the mouth of a monster.
But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, or you might end up with the mouth of a monster too. I was so shy when I first started at my school. I didn't talk to anyone at all. I remember the first morning as though it was yesterday. I found my classroom and took a seat at the back of the room. I was trying to act as inconspicuous as possible. I hoped by sitting at the back that no one would take any notice of me. But unfortunately, my teacher wasn't going to let that happen.
Good morning. You must be the new girl. Please stand up and introduce yourself to the class.
My hands started shaking just at the thought of having to speak out loud to everyone. I could feel all their eyes staring at me. I couldn't control myself any longer. I burst into tears and ran out of the room and into the bathroom. I stood looking into the bathroom mirror, tears streaming down my eyes. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened, and a girl my age walked in.
Are you okay? Teacher sent me to look for you.
I couldn't speak, so I just nodded.
I'm Maddie. What's your name?
Amanda.
Nice to meet you, Amanda. Why don't you come back to class with me? We can sit together.
I followed Maddie back to the classroom and sat down next to her.
Don't worry. I'll be your friend. You don't have to be shy.
I gave Maddie a brief smile. She seemed really nice and friendly. Maybe things will be okay if I have her for a friend. When class finished, Maddie asked me to go to the canteen with her.
I don't know why you're so shy. You're really beautiful. You have so much going for you.
Thanks. Do you really think so?
Of course. You should have more confidence in yourself.
I began to think that Maddie might be right. I should be more confident. Maddie and I became great friends. With her help and support, I began to come out of my shell. It wasn't long before the boys started paying attention to me.
Hi, Amanda. You're looking nice today.
Hey, Amanda, sit next to me.
It felt nice to be the center of attention for once. And it was nice to feel so confident. It wasn't long before my newfound popularity had caught the attention of the 3 It Girls. Some people called them the Plastics, like from the movie Mean Girls. They were made up of Sally, Sarah, and Shaniqua. Shaniqua was their leader. They had a reputation around school for being mean to everyone. You definitely didn't want to get on the wrong side of them. The first time I met them was in the school canteen. I had tried to avoid them when I first arrived at the school, but once I became popular, I wasn't nervous of them anymore. I walked into the canteen and stood in the queue behind them. Hi, I'm Amanda.
Yes, we know who you are. You're starting to become really popular around here. I'm Shaniqua, by the way. You can sit with us for lunch if you like.
I didn't want Maddie to think that I was dropping her, though, so I thought I'd better ask her if she minded. Shaniqua has asked me to sit with them for lunch. You don't mind, do you?
No, that's fine.
Maddie didn't sound that convincing, but I didn't let it stop me. I went and joined the 3 girls for lunch. We got on really well. They were so fun to be around.
I love your hair, Amanda. You'll have to let me know which salon you go to. Yes, it's really nice. Makes a change to find someone in this school that takes care of herself. Most of the other girls look like they've been dragged through a hedge backwards. Speaking of which...
One of the girls from my class was walking by, and Sally pointed to her.
See what I mean? Classic example of how not to do your hair.
I actually thought that the girls' hair looked nice, but I joined in and laughed along with the 3 of them. It wasn't long before I was spending more and more of my time with the Plastics. I thought that Maddie would be happy for me, but one day she came to me and said,
Amanda, you should really be careful around the Plastics. They're not good people. They're just using you because your new popularity will propel their popularity too.
I think they're nice. Why would you say something like that?
Because I know from firsthand experience. When I came to the school, I was also gaining popularity. It wasn't long before the Plastics tried to force me to join with them. They didn't like it when I refused.
You're gonna regret this decision, Maddie. We will ruin your life.
Shaniqua got her dad to spread some really bad rumors about my dad, which ended up with him losing his job. Luckily, other companies were willing to hire him so he wasn't out of work for too long. But for a while, it was seriously bad.
I'm sure that can't be true.
They also spread a bunch of rumors about me around the school. They really are terrible people.
You're lying. You're probably just jealous that they like me and not you. I bet you just want me all to yourself. Well, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to stop being friends with them. After our argument, I officially became one of the Plastics. I loved the attention we got as we walked through school. Sometimes I would imagine we were in a movie, walking in slow motion, while all the boys drooled over us and the girls gazed at us with adoration. I always felt great being part of the Plastics. There are lots of benefits of being part of the It Girls. For one, the teachers never got mad if we didn't hand our homework in on time. They knew that if the Plastics took a dislike to them, then the whole school would hate them. If a teacher was hated by the whole school, everyone made their life a misery. They would be the victim of pranks almost every day. I didn't really care that the Plastics picked on some kids. They weren't important to me. But one day, I walked into the classroom and saw the girls surrounding Maddie.
What are you, a child? Pigtails are so 2009, right, Amanda?
I hesitated for a second, but then I said, duh. You seriously look so dumb in those pigtails, Maddie. Where's your sense of style?
Why do you have to be so mean, Amanda? You may be popular, you may have the perfect body and a beautiful face, but you have the mouth of a monster.
Whatever.
I can't believe you were ever friends with Maddie.
Neither can I. Amanda, you don't deserve me.
Maddie stormed out of the room, everyone bursting out laughing as they watched her go. I didn't say anything at all. I just watched her leave the room. I think that moment was the point where the plastics really began to trust me. They saw that I had taken their side against Maddie, so they began to include me more and more. They confided in me with all their secrets. The first to tell me anything was Shaniqua.
Amanda, you can keep a secret, can't you?
Sure, Shaniqua. You can tell me anything.
Did you know I've had a nose job?
You've got to be kidding, right? I can't believe it. It looks so natural. Another time, Sarah came to me. She looked quite upset. Is everything okay, Sarah?
No, not really.
What is it? Sarah hesitated at first, but eventually she told me,
Please don't tell anyone, but my parents are getting a divorce.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. Another time, I was sitting in math class next to Sally when I noticed she had finished the exam in record time. How did you manage to finish so quickly? She leant over and whispered to me,
Don't let anybody else know, but I used to be a national mathematics champion.
I was really shocked at what they had revealed, but I promised not to tell anyone else. Anyway, we had something much more important to talk about. The prom was coming up soon. Everyone was talking about who was going to be prom queen. It's obvious that Nathan will be prom king, but I wonder who his queen will be.
Amanda, it's definitely going to be you. You and Nathan would look perfect together.
I looked across at Shaniqua to see if she had heard Sally's words. She didn't look happy at all. Nathan was Shaniqua's boyfriend, and she desperately wanted to be the prom queen alongside him.
Amanda, you know that Nathan is my boyfriend. Of course, I will be the prom queen.
Well, we will have to see, won't we? I could feel Shaniqua giving me an evil stare as I walked away. It made me even more determined to be the queen of the prom. The following day, I went into the school canteen and saw Nathan standing with a couple of his friends. I went over to them and said hi.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Feeling better now I've seen you. I gave Nathan my most dazzling smile. It definitely seemed to have an effect on him. He started grinning from ear to ear, and I'm sure I saw a little blush. We started flirting with each other. It was so obvious that he liked me, but we didn't have a chance to say much more before Shaniqua came in and spotted us. She came striding over.
What's going on here? What are you two talking about?
Don't be so jealous, Shaniqua. I'm not going to steal your boyfriend from you.
You couldn't even if you tried.
Don't be too sure about that. Nathan seemed pretty happy to chat to me.
Don't try and mess with me, Amanda, or you'll end up regretting it.
Shaniqua grabbed hold of Nathan by the arm and dragged him away, leaving me with Sally and Sarah.
What's got into her?
Oh, don't worry about Shaniqua. She's jealous of everyone Nathan speaks to. She's so possessive, too.
To be honest, we've just about had enough of her. We're beginning to think we need to look for a new leader for the plastics.
Well, look no further. I'm the girl for the job.
We were hoping you would say that. You're easily the most popular girl in school. You're just the kind of girl we need to be our leader.
What will Shaniqua have to say when she finds out she's been demoted?
Oh, don't worry about that. You can leave her to us. She won't give you any trouble.
I had no idea what Sally and Sarah said to Shaniqua, but the next time she saw me, she just gave me a little smile and then lowered her eyes.
Hi, Amanda. I hear you're our new leader now.
Yes, that's right. I am. When the night of the prom finally arrived, I put on my gorgeous new dress. Its gold-colored sequins shimmered as I walked through the room. Everyone stopped to stare at me. I knew that I was dazzling everyone.
And now, to announce the prom king and queen,
We all stood there with bated breath.
Nathan and Amanda.
A huge cheer went up from the crowd. and I walked up to the stage. The principal handed me the microphone, and I began my speech. I would like to thank Sally, Shaniqua, and Sarah for welcoming me into their group. Some of you may think that what I am about to do is wrong. Revenge isn't always the right answer, but it sure can be sweet. The crowd was confused at my words. Sally, Shaniqua, and Sarah were looking at each other strangely. You see, I had been working undercover all along. Everyone thought that Maddie and I were done, but actually, I had been infiltrating the plastics the whole time to gain their trust and find out their secrets. I pointed at the screen projector, which now had my face on it as prom queen winner. I flicked it to start the slideshow. Everyone watched as each slide went by. The first revealed that Shaniqua had had a nose job. Then it told about Sarah's parents getting a divorce. And lastly, about Sally being a mathematics champion. Everyone burst out laughing and started whispering about them. We should stop supporting these people and helping them gain popularity when they are just plain mean. The crowd started applauding loudly. Maddie, please come up on the stage. Maddie walked up and joined me on the stage. I took the prom queen crown and placed it on her head. When she realized what I was doing, she smiled at me and gave me a big hug. Maddie and I were just acting all along, so that the plastics didn't get suspicious. I would never fall out with Maddie. She is my best friend, and our plan was a success.
We called your mom. She said she forgot, but she's on her way. Mrs. Turpin, the ballet teacher, informed me. She's not my mom, a 10-year-old me mumbled under my breath as Mrs. Turpin walked away. She's my stepmom. Hi, my name is Annabelle. Like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so that you can see more amazing content on our channel. Don't forget to tell a friend too. My mom and dad went through an awful divorce when I was 8 years old. Living arrangements were in favor of my dad while I visited my mother every other weekend. My dad and I had a great relationship until he came home one day when I was 10 years old and said that he was married. You must be the little angel Andrew told me so much about, Gloria said, batting her eyelashes at my dad. I think we'll be great friends. Gloria, who insisted that I call her Mom, reminded me of a book I read, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She was extremely mean when we were alone, but when my father was around, she was extremely nice. Dad, I don't think Gloria likes me very much. I don't like how she treats me, I told my dad one afternoon while we were watching television. Without moving his gaze from the television, my dad replied, Give Gloria time. She has never been with a guy who lives with his child before. This is new territory for her. It really doesn't take much to treat someone with common courtesies and basic human decency, Dad. When I told my mother, she was furious. Not only with how Gloria was treating me, but the fact that my dad did nothing about it. She tried to discuss the situation with my dad, but he told her that she was just jealous because he had moved on and remarried. One weekend before my mom dropped me back at my dad's house, she gave me a small gift. It's not my birthday. I shook the box. Well, if you open it, you'll find out what it is. My mother smiled at me. I ripped off the wrapper excitedly and held up a phone. Thanks, Mom. I wrapped my arms around her neck. No problem, baby. Now you can call me anytime and we can talk. About 2 weeks later, Gloria walked into my bedroom and saw me talking on the phone. She asked me if I stole the phone. I told her that my mother bought it for me. She snatched the phone from my hand and took it to my father. Gloria told my father that I was too young to have a phone, and of course, my father agreed with her. He said that my mother could call me on the house phone. The house phone, however, was in the living room, and I couldn't tell my mother how things really were if I used that phone. When my mother heard what my father did, she bought me another phone and told me to hide it. That weekend of my 10th birthday, I was supposed to spend it with my mom. We had it all planned out, breakfast at Tiffany's Cafe, a spa day, then to the mall for shopping, and once we got home, she was willing to watch a Pokemon marathon with me. It was going to be the best birthday ever. A few days before my birthday, my mom had an emergency surgery to remove her appendix. Gloria told my father that she would host a birthday party for me since he would be at a business trip. I was taken aback by Gloria's gesture. The day before the party, Gloria, Dad, and I shopped for everything for the party. Games, balloons, refreshments. Gloria even bought me a new outfit for the party. That night, we stayed up and decorated. Things seemed to be looking up. When it was 12 a.m., my dad kissed me and told me happy birthday, and he would see me when he got back in a few days. and he left for the airport. I went to bed that night totally excited. The day of my birthday, Gloria and I added the extra touches to the setup. I dressed in my outfit and waited for my friends. Then, out of nowhere, Gloria grabbed my arm and dragged me to the basement. Before throwing me in, she looked at me menacingly and said, "If you make any noise in this basement, I will make sure that social services take you away and you will never see your parents again." That afternoon, while my friends were having fun upstairs, I sat at the top step of the basement, crying my eyes out. When I pressed my ear against the door, I heard Gloria tell a parent that my mother was in the hospital and that my father took me to see her, but hopefully I will be back soon to join in on the fun. After everyone was sent home, Gloria opened the basement door with an evil smile on her face and walked away. I didn't see Gloria again for the rest of the afternoon. When I told my father about what happened when he came back, he was angry. He said that even though I did not like Gloria, it doesn't mean that I should make up stories about her. "You never believe anything I have to say anyway," I screamed and walked away. At age 12, my mother passed away. A car ran the red light and collided with hers. She was hospitalized for 2 weeks. She appeared to be getting better and the doctors were hopeful. So when my dad got a call saying that she had succumbed to her injuries, my entire world crashed. I felt lost and alone. My mother and I often imagined life when I turned 18 and I could finally go live with her. The hope of ever having a normal life died with my mother. I didn't know how I was going to make it to 18 without the support and love of my mother. My life continuously went downhill from there. "Hey, how did you spend your 13th birthday yesterday?" Jordan asked. Jordan and I have been friends for the past 5 years. He was the only person besides my mom that had my phone number. After my mom passed away, he told me that he would pay the bill since he worked in his father's general store on the weekends. I was reluctant at first, but the phone held voice notes and messages from my mother that would have been lost if my phone was cut. "Oh, it was cool," I lied. "So, what are you waiting for?" "My stepmom, but she is always late." I rolled my eyes. "I can stay with you if you want." He smiled. "Thanks. I would love the company." Little did I know that accepting Jordan's offer was going to raise hell when I got home. That night, my father called a family meeting. He announced that from now on, I would be homeschooled. Gloria convinced my father that homeschooling meant individual attention, and I wouldn't have any distractions, such as the little boy she caught me holding hands with when she picked me up. "What? I wasn't holding anyone's hand," I said angrily. "But there was a boy waiting with you when Gloria picked you up?" My dad asked with a raised eyebrow. "Yes, because Gloria," my dad cut me off. "Good, so it's settled. You will be homeschooled. Gloria already picked out a great homeschooling program." "Of course she did," I muttered under my breath. As soon as I went to my bedroom, I locked the door and messaged Jordan. I told him what happened, but Jordan had a plan. He said he would sneak work to me. I told him that I wasn't even allowed outside unless it was to throw out the trash. We agreed that every afternoon he would pass in front of my house and drop my package of work, which he would place in a bag next to the trash. When I completed the work, I would drop it back by the trash before he passed, and he would get a teacher to correct it for me. I was eternally grateful for Jordan, the one ray of light in my life. Homeschooling with Gloria was horrendous. Now that I was home all the time, Gloria tried to control my entire life. What I ate, watched on TV, even the number of hours that I slept. My father didn't seem to notice, or he didn't care. He got a promotion at work and spent more time at the office than at home. Thanks to Jordan and some teachers at the school, I was not only able to apply to colleges, but I got accepted into one, Northgate University. My father gave my stepmom the check for my tuition, but according to her, she forgot to mail it in. I was devastated. Because of her, I didn't get to go to Northgate. My dad told me that I could reapply the next year. Luckily, I was able to beg my way into a community college. I asked my dad to give me the check so that I could mail it in myself. I thought being 18 and going to college would have made Gloria back off, but it didn't. I begged my dad to pay my rent for me until I got a job, but he refused. He said he shouldn't have to pay for rent when I could live at home for free. "So, how did it go?" Jordan asked over the phone. "No dice." "Ugh, I just want to get out of here, but I can't do that unless I get a job. I can't get a job because places want job experience. It's the most frustrating thing ever. Let me ask my dad if he would be willing to take on another employee. I mean, you're there almost every day. We might as well put you to good use." I laughed. Jordan and I chatted for a few minutes before we hung up. I was over the moon when Jordan called me the next day and told me that his father was willing to hire me. I needed to save enough money to have at least 6 months of rent before I left, because the last thing I wanted to do was return to my father's house. When my stepmom found out where I was working, she made calls to the store and tried to get me fired. Thankfully, Mr. Dalton did not believe her. He warned her that the next time she called his store trying to defame any of his workers, that he would slap her with a desist letter from a lawyer. When I mentioned to Jordan that I almost made quota, he suggested that we go looking at apartments to keep me motivated. I kept my money in a jewelry box hidden on a shelf at the back of my closet. It's an heirloom from my mother. One afternoon when I got home, the jewelry box was broken on my bed and the money was missing. I confronted my stepmom and she just laughed. You will never amount to anything, just like your mother. That night, I decided that enough was enough. I preferred to live on the streets than live in the same house as Gloria another day. I packed what I could carry and left. That night, I stayed in an abandoned house. The next morning when I arrived at work, Jordan noticed a change in my appearance and attitude. I told him what happened the night before. I tried hard not to cry, but I had been holding everything in for so long that I cried hysterically. Jordan called his father on the phone and had a short conversation. He took my hand and carried me to the back of the store. He led me up a short flight of stairs and opened the door. It was the cutest little apartment. I was fixing up the space for myself, but you need it more than I do. And don't worry about working today. I'll cover your shift. Get some rest. I hugged him and thanked him. When he left, I took a bath and went to bed. The next day, I was shocked when my father showed up at the store. How could you be so ungrateful and steal from Gloria after everything she's done for you? What are you talking about? Gloria said that you stole money from her. Gloria stole money from me. If you don't return the money, Gloria is threatening to press charges. Just then, Mr. Dalton confronted my father. Why are you believing a woman who obviously doesn't love your daughter? It's a shame that Annabelle has to deal with a man as selfish as you. Gloria has done nothing but make her life miserable. And maybe if you took your head out of your butt, you would see how manipulative she is. Mr. Dalton walked to the door and opened it. Your time here is up. You need to leave. If any charges are brought against Annabelle, I will tell the police that you came to my store and threatened me because I gave your daughter a job. And, he pointed to the camera, I have proof. The next few months were amazing. Jordan and I eventually started dating. School was great and I felt as though I was getting the life that I finally deserved. But I should have known that it was too good to be true, the way that my life is set up. One night, while having dinner with Jordan and his family, Mr. Dalton got a call that the store was on fire. The fire chief said it was arson. We all had an idea about who did it, but without proof, we couldn't do anything. Mr. and Mrs. Dalton told me that I could stay in the guest room. Mr. Dalton was unable to claim insurance because the fire was caused by arson. He tried to go to multiple banks to get a loan to rebuild, but to no avail. Just when we had given up, we got a knock on the door. It was my mother's lawyer. Annabelle, I've been searching for you for months. I visited your father a year ago and his wife said she didn't know where you were. I have some good news for you. You are the sole beneficiary of your mother's estate. She left you a house, an apartment complex, and $3 million from her life insurance. My mouth dropped. I gave Mr. Dalton all the money he needed to rebuild his store. Not only did I graduate, but Jordan and I are engaged. I am currently doing my degree to become a social worker so that I can help as many children as I can live a normal life. No child should ever feel unloved or uncared for. I may be just one person, but I am determined to make a difference.